Simon, it's time in the show we play a couple of games. Let's kick things off with This Week in History.
Dan Barrett, June 3, 1995. Which American awards show makes its debut at Hollywood's Pantages Theatre? Now, 1995 seems late in the game for an awards show to be debuting, but it's very specifically of that decade. What might it have been?
Look, I can't speak necessarily to that theatre specifically, but a award show that I know made its debut in the mid 90s was the SAG Awards, and I'm going to assume that was 95? Question mark.
No, you're wrong. It was the Blockbuster Entertainment Awards, that most highly regarded of American awards shows, the Blockbuster Entertainment Awards. Funnily enough, this time next week, I will have been to the Pantages Theatre in Hollywood. We are very fortunately, my wife and I, going to see a screening of Stop Making Sense with talking heads present at the very theatre that the concert was filmed. So next week I'll be in LA, and we've got to figure out how we're going to do the podcast, but we'll figure out some way. So that should be fun. June 5,
okay, Sorry, just to save people doing it, I did a quick little Google for the Screen Actors Guild Awards. So it did debut in 1995. I don't have the date. So, I mean, obviously it had a very specific... It's February 25th, 1995. From Universal Studios, Stage 12.
You did that to save people Googling. Good for you.
Yeah.
June 5, 1927. Which soon-to-be big screen star, I'll read that again, which soon-to-be big screen star sets 100-yard and 200-yard freestyle swimming records. June 5, 1927. The year's important. And he became one of the biggest stars in the world through a very specific role.
Well, that probably rules out Betty White. Look, I'm pretty sure that we're talking about... Are we talking about Tarzan himself, Johnny Weissmuller?
That's exactly who we're talking about, the great Johnny Weissmuller, who was a fine athlete both before, during, and after his Tarzan reign. Okay, this one's a little bit icky, a little bit distasteful, but that's what I do. June 8, 1983. Debuting today, which comedy holds the dubious honour of revealing then 21-year-old Jamie Lee Curtis's breasts for the first time on screen? I mean, such a tacky question, but here we are.
You wrote it. You could have not written it. You could have just asked, like, what movie started 21-year-old Jamie Lee Curtis?
Just his breasts for the first time on screen.
You didn't need to mention her breasts, like Simon.
Do you have an answer?
Please. First you're reviewing, like, OnlyFans, like, documentaries, and now Jamie Lee Curtis's breasts. Like, what are you turning this podcast into?
Work for me somehow. I don't know. So what movie was it that debuted on June 8, 1983?
Look, it's important to realise I'm a family man. I'm a father of a daughter. Like, really, Simon? Okay, look, I'm pretty sure we're talking about Trading Places here.
We are talking about Trading Places, the very funny Dan Aykroyd, Eddie Murphy film. Haven't seen it for a while. Maybe by today's standards it hasn't aged well, but I always remember it being a very, very funny movie. All right, let's do the birthday quiz.
No, not happy birthday. No, not that. Please, no, not happy birthday.
Okay, these four birthday buddies are all linked by someone they've worked with. Okay, June 4, 1924, Dennis Weaver, who many may remember as, now I've forgotten his name, the cowboy detective who had his own TV show in the 70s. Anyway, Dennis Weaver. June 6, 1967, Paul Giamatti. June 7, 1978, one very funny Bill Hader. And June 7, 1952, Liam Neeson. Very white guy lineup. Do apologise for that, but it was kind of hard putting the birthday buddies together this week. So Dennis Weaver, Paul Giamatti, Bill Hader, and Liam Neeson. Who have they all worked with that binds their birthday buddy status?
Well, like, Bill Hader's a terrible entry point into this one, only because, you know, he was on SNL and there were so many people that came through as, like, guest hosts and other cast members that's difficult. Dennis Weaver, he's done so much work over the years that it really could be anyone. Paul Giamatti, again, character actor, so he's kind of been in everything. And Liam Neeson, very extensive career, has kind of been...
I know.
With everyone. This is just a, needle on a haystack question, Simon. I'm just going to throw out, thinking about Bill Hader, I'm going to say that has this actor ever appeared in Happy Days?
Okay, first of all, you're showing your on-screen bias here. This is a behind-the-scenes individual.
Okay, well, can't we just talk about Happy Days? Is that possible?
We've mentioned Happy Days three times in this podcast. You're living in the past, man.
That's the joke, Simon. Okay, look, so obviously it's not Henry Winkler, star of TV's Happy Days. Giamatti, Neeson, Hader. Nah, I'm giving a miss. What do we got? Who we got?
They've all been directed by one Steven Spielberg, my friend. It's Mr. Spielberg directed Dennis Weaver in the great movie Duel back in 1972. Paul Giamatti had a character role in Saving Private Ryan. Bill Hader was in the motion capture suit, was one of the big friendly giants in Steven Spielberg's The BFG. And Liam Neeson, of course, was Oscar Schindler in Schindler's List. So they've all been directed by Steven Spielberg.
Okay. Cool. Simon Foster, it's time to get out of this podcast. I was convinced we were going to do it under an hour, and that did not happen. Folks, if you've enjoyed my voice, you can get more of it, but in text, in an email newsletter that comes out every day. It's called Always Be Watching. Find it, subscribe to it at alwaysbewatching.com. Simon?
Screen Watching has a whole bunch of socials. Do go over to our Facebook page at Screen Watching Podcast, on Threads and on YouTube at Screen Watching, or email us screenwatchingpodcast@gmail.com, where you can send all your news and views and your commentary, just like you did for Furiosa. Thanks for that. And I do all my writing over on Screenspace, screen-space.net. I do good work there.
Okay, folks, this has been the Screen Watching Podcast. We'll be back next week with more Screen Watching. Folks, we'll see you then.